thank you for joining Design Update to talk about child-focused design. I'm with Seyhan, Çiçek, an industrial designer responsible for user research at VitrA's Innovation Centre, and
Cristiana, Caira,
partner at White Arkitekter in Gothenburg, Sweden, and Professor of Design for Health at Chalmers University of Technology. Hello.
Hello.
So, at a time when the idea of child-centred approaches to design are gaining agency around the world, perhaps I could ask you first, Cristiana, to briefly set out the current context around child-focused design in Sweden for the benefit of UK designers.
Yes, it is. We have a very great news from Sweden here in January this year. The UN Convention for Children's Rights has become a Swedish law, which we believe is going to give more focus and more priority on the rights of children and youth. The convention talks about a very broad range of rights, from safety and health to school, education and culture, but it also talks about the rights of participation. Children and youngs have no voting rights, but represent a large part of our communities. In Sweden, it can be 20 to 30% of a community, and in developing countries up to 50 or 60%. And they are, of course, very much affected by our choices on how we plan cities, schools, transportation, parks. And the UN Convention talks about the importance of involving children and youth when we take decisions that have impact on their daily life, but also on their future.
So that explains why there's been a resurgence of interest in child-focused design. Thanks for setting that context.
Yeah.
Seyhan, how does that compare with things in Turkey at the moment in awareness of child-focused design?
Design awareness in children's products has been increasing in Turkey in recent years also, especially in educational environments, because especially preschool education, because a few years ago in Turkey preschool education has changed, and its importance also has increased in recent years. With changing educational system, child-centric design has also become important. While designing for children, international standards are being used. As VitrA, we also use these standards while we design products, but we think that these standards are not enough to design the most suitable products for children. So we need some other informations about children's needs, children's behaviors, or their feelings. So for this reason, as VitrA Innovation Center, we conducted several researches and user tests with children to understand their feelings, their behaviors. Our main aim was to understand the needs and feels very well, so design the most suitable products for them.
Yes, I was going to ask you, because I understand that there's a new range that the team at your team at the Innovation Centre has been researching. It's called Cento Kids, and I think it's aimed specifically at young children who are transitioning into educational environments for the first time. Could you tell me a bit about the research process and how it addresses specific needs?
Okay. New range that you mentioned, as you said, is our Cento Kids series, Cento Kids collection. We describe this Cento Kids collection as bedroom solutions for new beginners. These new beginners are children 3 to 6 years old. When children at these ages start to go to school, they stay away from their parents for the first time, and they have to manage their needs by themselves. Yeah. And it's not easy for them, and it's not easy for their parents also, because we can say that designing educational environment is very important for this reason. For Santo Kids collection, I can say that this collection meets children's needs in the toilet environment and provides them best toilet experience with its ergonomic, colorful and attractive design. Before we start design process, we did some researches about children anthropometry and children ergonomics, and in order to determine the dimensions of product. However, during the research phase, we realized that there were very few scientific researches about this subject. So we decided to conduct several user tests and researches about this subject, and we went to kindergartens to meet with children. We made some prototypes of our products with different heights to define the most suitable height for this product, and we conducted user tests with these prototypes. Now I will mention about some design decisions related with our research. For example, VC pen design, VC pen with different height design for children, for different age to place their feet comfortably on the floor, because it is important for their bowel movement and for easy defecation. This is important. And we designed VC seat with grab handles because during the research phase, while we observed them, we saw that they try to hold side of the VC pan because they want to feel safe, and they try to stay in balance. And extra grab lip also added to VC seat to make it easier for children to lift it up easily. They can use this product without fear and without need their parents' help.
So how did you get the children to engage with the prototypes? Did you turn it into a game?
You have to tell them a story and to include them in this story. To get information from them. We designed products suitable for children's usage, so they can use by themselves. It's important for their self-confidence. While they use products by themselves, especially in these ages, they feel comfort and they feel more self-confident because they do some tasks by themselves. They didn't need parents' help.
We've talked about there being a new focus on design for the needs of children in Sweden. And that's not just young children, but also teenagers. And I understand that you've recently completed a pioneering hospital project that's designed specifically around the needs of children and young people.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a bit about the project and some of the research behind it?
Yeah. So the project's name is the new Queen Sylvia Children and Youth Hospital in Gothenburg. It's a quite big hospital, 33,000 square meters. It's a center for care for children in Sweden, and I have been responsible for the design of the hospital together with a large team. And I would say that the two most important design principles in this building is the children. In a children's hospital, children are under a high stress situation, and parents as well. There is something going on in the health of their beloved, and nobody knows exactly what it is. Sometimes you know and you are worried about it. There is physical pain involved. So the most important in a children's hospital And it is quite interesting discover is that the most important is as parents feel well, because if parents feel well and can sleep well, they can support their children in the best way. The other way is that two main design principles of this hospital is that it is important to create spaces for calmness and home feeling, so that families and children can relax and recover and feel safe. And on the other side, rooms and spaces where playfulness is enhanced, because playfulness is something that children have. It's an important way to learn, but also to recover, and to recover from pain and from stress. And this has been translated into our architectural design, where we have rooms for concentration and calmness, where we use daylight, greenery, and a lot of wood material and natural materials, and rooms where we support playfulness and stimuli with a lot of colors and playful art work and interior, to create this balance in between.
So you created a series of different environments, some of which were perhaps more about playfulness and colour, and others which were about calmness and recuperation. Yeah.
Yes, and we use a lot of Scandinavian wood and greenery and daylight, and the contact with the park and the forest just outside of the hospital, to create this calm environment in specific areas of the hospital. So it is one of the hospitals I know where we use real wood, in massive wood in hospital interiors, and it's a great innovation actually.
And how did you engage some of the younger children during your consultation process?
Yeah, it is quite difficult to involve, of course, under 2 years old. In that case, it is more dialogue and experience of the parents. But as soon as children could develop their own communication, we create a lot of opportunities on drawings. Create paintings, and we talked about what is a hospital for you, what is a dream hospital for you, how would you like this hospital to be, the new one to look like. And these drawings say so much more than a normal interview, because children have the ability to, when they draw something, to focus on details and small things that are most important for them. Some draw them, or some even wrote words about them when they could write things. And one of these drawings, for example, is made by a little girl, 7 years old. And in her painting, the most important is the curtains in her room, and the possibility with lightning to create a coziness in her patient room. And the second most important thing is the ramp, possibility to come out with a wheelchair out to the garden and the playground. And the playground is almost bigger than a hospital building. And this says a lot about the children's perspective.
Seyhan, in relation to the importance of play in children's learning environments, or in children's learning development, and also playfulness in general, is this something that your research encompassed?
As Cristiana said, playfulness is very important for children. Playful appearance of products also affects children. If you want to attract attention of children, you have to design something for them. You have to do some playful things for them. For Santo Kids collection, we added some playful details to our designs. For example, when you look at from the top view, the VCC cover, it seems like a smiling face. And with colorful accessories, collection seems playful and attractive for children also. With children, you have to include them into some games. If you give them, as I mentioned before, if you give them just tasks, they don't want to do these tasks. They want to be part of some playful activities. You have to give roles, some roles them, and by this way you can observe their behavior, their real behavior, and you can understand their needs very well.
Yeah. It sounds from what both of you have said that colour is really important aspect of designing for children. It'd be good to focus in a bit more on this. Seyhan, how did you approach the issue of colour in the design of Cento Kids?
When we look at the Cento Kids collection, accessories and complementary parts were designed in contrast color. By this way, the toilet environment was colored to attract the attention of children.
Yeah.
And besides this, products which have water contact directly, like wash basin, WC pan, designed in white color. By this way, a more hygienic and more cleaner appearance were obtained also.
Yeah.
And I want to add something with our researches. We made our prototypes colorful. So when we went to kindergartens, they liked it and they want to try it. By this way, we can observe their behavior easily.
Yeah, yeah. So there was an element of colour coding going on that related to the way that children were using the products.
Yes. When you look at the Cento Kids series, we cannot see gender differentiation of colors. It's important for us. Yeah. And the others we select in contrast colors and to attract the children attentions.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cristiana, what research did you do around children and colour in your focus group workshops for Queen Sylvia Children's Hospital?
The wish was very strong to have colors, but not specifically what colors, but that it should be from the outside, it should be visible that this is a building for children. And this is something that is quite complicated to discuss about, because how does a building fit into the surrounding is not only doing that, and also planning colors for a facade of 33,000 square meters. What colors then? It has been a huge challenge for us as designers to find the range of colors and also to test it in a smaller scale and to imagine that over the whole facade. It is a glass facade, and we have worked with a range of colors from yellow to blue, which are actually colors that come from the Swedish nature, that are not completely out of their context, but are quite strong and quite energetic when you are now on site and you see this very colorful hospital in its context. It's very clear that it is a statement, a very different building. When it comes to the indoor environment, as I said before, we don't have colors everywhere. We have colors in specific day room areas, or areas that are designated or dedicated to playful activities. One of these areas is so-called the play therapy department. The play therapy is very famous at the Queen Sylvia Hospital. It is a department where children play themselves to be healthy again, and it's a very special method to do that. And there is also a little library and a little school in it for the children that need to live there for several months. The play therapy in our project it's a very colorful and very stimuli-rich unit, and it's placed directly by the entrance hall. That was also a strategic way to say, the first you meet when you enter the children's hospital is not the sick, it's not the sickness, it's not the pain, but it is the most positive that you have in a children's hospital. It is a reminder of the normal life that you have outside.
So the pathway to convalescence was located by the front door.
By the front door, and the path to the main elevator and staircase, it is a very large corridor that is used for a cinema, for a playing ball, indoor, and it is very colorful and very stimulating. And then we have this type of rooms everywhere in the building, in selected areas, so that the children know this is a place where I can move around, move furniture, express myself, and the play. The colors, when it comes to the choice of colors, it was also kind of interesting to discover that our children, the children that we interviewed in our workshops in all ages, were very interested in actually pastel colors, not really these very strong colors, but colors that are softer, that remind of flowers and the nature, and the sky and insects. So we used a broad range of pastel colors in the children's hospital that are actually quite natural if you look at. Another important thing I have to say is that colors in the children's hospital are not only used as visual signals for playfulness, but they are also used as wayfinding strategy. So we have dominating colors for each floor and each unit, so children that cannot read, still can find themselves at home. And we use artworks to help this orientation and wayfinding within the building, even for small children. So colors are not only playfulness, but also functional for the wayfinding and the feeling of finding themselves at home in their home environment.
Yeah, so there's a similarity there with what Seyhan was saying about using colour as a sort of coding device to indicate which elements you could touch, or perhaps which shouldn't be touched.
Exactly.
Sam, I believe that Center Kids is designed primarily with educational environments in mind. Is that correct?
Educational environments important for us because there are very crowded and full of children. Children spend most of their time in schools without their parents. So educational environment were very important while we started to new kids collection. But we can also say that Center Kids collection can be used everywhere. Where can we see children? Hospitals, maybe sports centers, libraries, shopping centers. We can even say that for houses also. If you have a separate bedroom for your children in your house, you can use this product for this bedroom also. Let's think about shopping center. If you go with your children and if there isn't separate toilets for the children, it's very difficult to children and their parents to go toilet. Parents have them, but it's non-hygienic and it's not comfortable for both children and their parents. Children feel unsafe. They fear to be there, and they fear the using of adults' toilets. So this affects children's self-confidence also, I think.
So you might be looking at situations where you're integrating these products into adult-scale washrooms as an option. That's interesting.
It's very difficult to use adults' toilets for children.
So I was going to ask you about environments beyond education that children interact with, so not just at the scale of buildings, but at the wider scale of cities. Cristiana, is this something that White is addressing in relation to the new Swedish legislative context on child-friendly design?
Yeah, Well, when it comes to school and education building, of course, children are in focus. And what we see there is that we have learned now that children learn and interact in different ways. They are also individuals. They are not all the same. So the best, the most suitable, sustainable school layout that meets needs of different children is a school where we have a combination of different sizes and different characters of rooms, so the children that feel that learn the best way in smaller groups or in smaller rooms can do that, or can variate that during the week, and children that work better in larger groups can have access to that type of area. So the most child-friendly school design is based on a mixture of rooms of different sizes and different characters, and that applies even to the outdoor environment. Unfortunately, we don't see that implemented every time in projects. There are obstacles both from the economical point of view, that this type of school layout means more square meters than a traditional school planned with corridor and one classroom for each class in a standard size. And the classes are, unfortunately, even in Sweden, between 25 to 30 children, so quite large. And the other obstacle is, of course, the school organization and the way of teaching, because working with different smaller rooms in different ways means also for the staff to start working in a different way, more individual based, more child friendly. When it comes to the outdoor areas, I would say it's more or less the same. Usually in Sweden we have a recommendation that talks about 35 square meters per child for a schoolyard area, but even there we see many projects where that area is reduced to about 25 or 20, and the budget sometimes is not prioritized, the budget for the outdoor areas, which means it's the areas are not designed in an activating way.
And finally, I'd like to ask you both what impact you think that COVID-19 will have on design.
Well, I can say that people's troubles got increased in COVID-19 period. The importance of personal hygiene and environmental hygiene emphasized frequently, especially hand hygiene and washing hands properly. So maybe we can see special hand hygiene stations everywhere in the streets, in the buildings or entrance of the buildings, I think.
Yeah.
And in the wake of coronavirus, I think the most important challenge will be to develop solutions, especially that create behavior changes, I think. Right now, people are obsessively washing their hands in their daily life. But as these moments starts to pass, maybe they will return their less hygienic habits again. So we will need something that create behavioral changes. I think this will be very important for everyone, but especially for children, I think. But we can say that it's easy to create behavior changes in children, easier than creating adults, because you can integrate this into educational system and change the children's habits easily. So you can create behavior changes in educational environment. Therefore, educational institutions are very important after coronavirus, I think. And I can say that smart technologies and touchless products will gain importance also, because no one touch anything, and especially in public areas, we don't want to touch anything. So touchless products will gain importance also. And lastly, I want to say that wellness gains importance in all over the world. As you all know, wellness is not related only with physical health, but also related with mental health and social well-being. So these all are related with our feelings, I think. So as a designer, we will have to design products that touch the feelings of user much more and more after this period, I think.
Thank you. And Cristiana?
Yes, well, first of all, I would say that in my work, I am a kind of advocate of the children's rights, and I think this COVID period has been a very difficult period for children in Europe. Locking down schools for many months in most of countries has been a very difficult period for children, because they have been not only missing school hours, which is something you can repair afterwards, but they have been missing their social environment, the playing, the cultural stimulations. And in Sweden has been an exception in this. Our strategy has been a bit different. We will only know in 1 year or something if it was a bad or a good strategy. I'm not talking about that, but regarding the children, I am very happy that all my 3 children have been able to keep going to school and have their almost normal life. Whether we adults have been more forced to adapt to the new situation and to find new ways of working and socializing. When it comes to design, of course, as Seyhan says, there will be more attention on hygienic aspects, on the way we plan buildings and we plan products and cities. But the most important I think reflection I had is the importance of the outdoor spaces. If we had planned schoolyards that are more children friendly and schools that are more children friendly, with smaller rooms for smaller groups, possibility to have more lectures or pedagogic activities outdoors, I think many schools and many children would have continued to go to school during the COVID crisis. So I think the COVID will hopefully teach us how to plan schools and children environment with the children in mind in the center better than we have done before. And when it comes to urban settings, we have also seen the importance of accessing green areas close to our houses and apartments, how important it is to be able to take the bike everywhere instead of going into very crowded buses or metros. So sustainable transportation and outdoor space in high density urban settings have become very important. And as a third element, I would also like to talk about the elderly, even if this interview is focused on child rights. And I think the elderly homes, both in Sweden and the UK, have been a difficult place to live and to be safe for the elderly generation. And now in Sweden, we still, elderly are not allowed to receive any visit still now. So even if they will be safe from the physical point of view, this period is going to have, unfortunately, large consequences for their psychological and health and well-being.